Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Brothers channel. And this is my first impressions look on the Converse All-Star BB Shift. And yes, this is an old shoe, but I don't know, Converse released a couple of colorways and they never restocked. And then it's back on Converse, and also I got this on ID4 Shoes, so shout out to them. If you guys do want to get it, I'll try to leave a link in the description box. But let's get it started off with the Tracciones. In this colorway, we have a very nice hot pink solid rubber outsole. And then you know what this kind of pattern reminds me of here in the forefoot? It kind of reminds me of the Kyrie 2, right? So it starts with a circle here in the middle and then kind of like ripples out. It's a pretty cool pattern. It's multi-directional, but it feels really not good so far on my wood floors, right? There's zero squeak and the bite seems not so good. So I'm a little bit disappointed in that because I thought it was gonna be really, really nice, you know, because it looks like a guard shoe, you know what I mean? Like a very, very nice guard shoe. But you know, of course, that's just my first impressions, and also that's just on my wood floors. We'll have to see once I break it in, play in it a lot. But right now, it doesn't seem very good. As far as durability goes, it seems like it's gonna be actually pretty good. You know, there's a lot of grooves, and the rubber is actually on the harder side of things, even though the grooves are kind of on the thinner side of things. And the grooves are deep, so I feel like for outdoor use it should be nice. And also another thing that I really like about this design is there's a little bit of an outsole curvature, just a tiny bit, you know, and kind of like right here as well, the rubber does come up, so if you're doing these types of movements it'll give you a little bit of extra grip as well, kind of, you know, reminiscent of Kyrie's. So I really like that. So yeah, the traction is I'm a little bit disappointed right now for my first impressions, but hopefully it breaks in and gets really good, right? So there's that. Moving on to the heel to toe transition. Overall it feels pretty nice and smooth, right? So here in the heel, this foam is really stiff, so there's no compression, but there's a nice curved shape. And then here in the forefoot we have a very curved shape and a lot of forefoot flex, and also like midfoot flex. Look at that. So hopefully like torsion support isn't terrible, right? But I don't know why. As far as the design, it doesn't seem like there is a midfoot shank plate. So hopefully my feet and like my arch doesn't hurt all too much, but we'll have to see on that. But overall, heel to toe transition does seem very smooth. All right, moving on to the cushioning setup. Yeah, the cushioning setup also feels really stiff. The good thing about it though is that it feels very responsive and low to the ground, so you get good court feel. So I mean, it'll be good for most guards, but if you want anything special, I don't think it'll be very good, right? So there is a zoom unit here in the forefoot. I'm not sure about the size. It's probably like the same size as like the PG1 and PG2, right? It says air zoom right here, and can't really feel the forefoot zoom in all too much, sadly, right? It reminds me a lot of like old school Nike shoes, right? The insole is not very nice. It's just a regular Outsole insole, and then underneath that the strobo board is super stiff. So yeah, the cushioning setup, it's not looking too good. And then here in the heel, like I said, this foam is really stiff, so there's not a whole lot of compression either. So yeah, a little bit disappointed in the cushioning setup, and I don't think it's going to break in very nicely, right? All right, moving on to the material. So I really like the materials. It looks great. It reminds me a lot of like ballistic nylon, right? It feels very supportive. There's zero stretch to it, but also it's like thin and it conforms to your foot very well. It's like soft as well. It doesn't feel stiff. It doesn't feel cumbersome, so it feels great on foot. There's some fuse right here as well. I wish it was a little bit more in the middle, you know, so if you do toe drags, but there still is some fuse. And there's some like nice like mesh paneling, right? So we have here in the forefoot, and also here in the midfoot as well, on the lateral and medial sides of the shoe, we have this like nice mesh material. For the tongue, we have a nice, like an average amount of padding, I would say, and then there is like a pretty crappy, I'm guessing like a synthetic leather. Then here in the ankle area, there's very minimal padding as well. So yeah, I mean, it feels nice and minimal on foot, and honestly, like this ballistic nylon material feels great, especially for only 120 bucks. Moving on to the fit, I went true to size and it fits me like a glove. It's a nice snug fit for me. So lengthwise, my toes go pretty much right to the edge of the shoe. It's snug here in the toe box, not super snug to the point where like I can't curl my toes up, and I have needles, but it's a nice snug fit. I like it, and for the width, it is a narrow fit as well. I can definitely feel this plastic plastic piece squeezing the side of my foot a little bit. So if you have a wide foot, probably go up a half size or maybe even a full size because it's a very snug fit, right? So there is the fit there. Moving on to the lateral containment and support and lockdown, it feels like it's gonna be amazing. So as far as lateral counters go, here in the forefoot we have this plastic piece which comes up, and it's honestly like not that stiff or like that hard of a plastic, which of course is good. I feel like if they made it like a hard plastic, it would hurt my foot a lot more than it does right now. But of course that'll be very good for lateral containment. And then here in the midfoot, this plastic does extend a little bit up to this point. And then here in the heel, we have the foam coming up a good amount and an internal TPU heel counter, it feels like. So lateral containment feels like it's gonna be very good too. Also for lateral stability though, I mean, there's zero outrigger, right? This is a very like narrow base, so I'm a little bit worried about lateral stability. Like for example, here in the Wild 10, we have a nice wide shape, right? And we have this part protruding out a lot, as you guys can see, right? So if we compare the actual width with the Wild 10, it's actually a good amount wider here in the Wild 10, right? Look at that. In the heel, it's around the same though. So we'll have to see on lateral stability, but you know, reminiscent of like the Kyrie Flytrap 2, I believe that shoe was super narrow as well, and I didn't really have any issues with that. So I feel like, you know, because it is low to the ground, like I said, because the cushioning setup is so damn low, I feel like it's not going to be a huge issue, right? All right, moving on to the weight of the shoe, it feels extremely light. So I'm guessing probably like 11 ounces, 11, 12 ounces, 11.6 ounces. Let's check the other pair. 11.71 ounces. So the average weight of my shoes is around 12.5 ounces. So yeah, this shoe definitely does feel light. It feels extremely minimal and low to the ground, so it feels really nice on foot. But hopefully the traction breaks in very nicely, and just a little bit disappointed in the cushion, but I guess the court feel is low to the ground, which feels nice. All right, moving on to the aesthetics. I love it. This shoe is, I feel like it's one of the best looking Converse basketball shoes that have come out, right? Comparing it to like the All-Star BB Pro and then like the Draymond shoe and also the shoe that I'm testing right now. This definitely looks the best. So tell us what you guys think of the aesthetics down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up, it feels like a guard shoe. You know, a super minimal, very lightweight, but you know, hopefully the traction does break in. The traction is feeling really, really bad. Or not terrible, but just like not a good bite. It's not top tier, you know what I mean? And to be a top tier guard shoe, you have to have amazing traction in my personal opinion. And also I wish they would have done the cushion a little bit better. Like, you know, give us a nice little foam here, you know what I mean? Like, this is such a stiff foam right here. So of course, I mean, it feels really nice on foot, like the fit, the materials, and of course I'm gonna need to play in it, so stay tuned for the full performance review. But that about wraps up my first impressions look on the Converse All-Star BB Shift. Again, if you guys don't want to cop, I'll try to leave a link in the description box, but that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.